Welcome to my latest video. This is a half-assed attempt to do a video of my dream car, the Lamborghini Miura. Unfortunately, since I don't know anyone who actually owns one, I had to kind of cobble this together. This car was not Mr. Lamborghini's idea. It was actually designed by some of his engineers, sort of behind his back. Bob Wallace, Mr. Stanzani, and the famous Mr. Dallara. Um, I actually thought the body was designed by Marcello Gandini, but I was recently told by the car expert Donald Osborne at the Newport Concours that Giugiaro actually did the initial sketches that Gandini then further developed into the finished car. In 1965, the rolling chassis was shown at the Turin Auto Show, and it blew everybody away. There had been one previous road car release that was mid-engine, a Matra Jet, but the Miura was considered the first supercar. It had the transverse 345 horsepower mid-engine V12 with the highest top speed of any car you could buy at the time. Notice the perforations in the frame for weight savings, with a 5-speed manual. And the engine was a 60-degree V12 designed by Giotto Bizzarini. Had overhead cams. Initially was a 3.5 liter with 6 dual throat Webers, but then they upped it to a 4 liter, which is what was in the Miura. Um, in the first iteration of the Miura, they had the engine and transmission sharing the same sump. Of course, it didn't take them long to realize that the shared sump was not a great idea. If you missed a shift and got some filings into the sump, they would get into the engine, and then you had a very expensive engine rebuild. So in 1966, the finished car debuted at the Geneva Motor Show as the Miura P400. Miura was the name of a fighting bull breeder, and 400 was for the now 4-liter V12 engine. The car is all steel except for the front and rear clamshells, which have a steel frame, and they're covered with aluminum exterior panels. If you open the front clamshell, you get the full-size spare tire, radiator with the fans, the front suspension, and the fuel tank. If you look just in front of the right passenger wheel, you can see the fuel filler neck. If you close the clamshell, the passenger side air outlet grill flips up so you can actually access the fuel filler. Just make sure you don't scrape the paint. So in 1968, they brought out a new model, which was the P400S, which they added power windows, some more chrome trim, an overhead console with rocker switches, and 20 more horsepower. And in 1971, they brought out the final iteration, which was the P400SV, with 4 3-barrel carbs, with a total of 380 horsepower, wider rear fenders for increased tire size, and for some reason they removed the eyelashes from around the headlights. I consider them one of the iconic things of a Miura. On the interior, you get the classic Italian steering wheel, a huge speedo and tack, and the classic Italian gated shifter. And then in the console you have 6 instruments, which are the water temperature, oil pressure, ammeter, fuel level, and clock. And right behind your head you have the screaming V12 engine, so you can't hear yourself think, I suspect. Notice the classic Italian steering wheel angle. It's a little more bus-like than you would expect. And the magazines used to always complain about the Italian driving position where you needed long arms and short legs. Also of note is across the back window is the famous horizontal slats. This was the first car to have those. Later you saw them on Z cars and Mustangs and everything else, but this was the originator. And you have a fair-sized trunk in the back. You can fit your bags in there to make a quick trip to the Monaco casino if needed. that's my half-assed overview of the Lamborghini Miura. I consider it to be the most stunning car ever designed. When you look at it in detail, there's really not one line anywhere that is not where it should be. How much of a nut am I? This is what I did to my Toyota MR2. Yep, I'm crazy.